Okie doke. Okay. Now let's check the stream and see where we are. Nice. Okay. Okay, here we go. Yeah, alright. I got lost in the music again like an idiot. Oh gosh, I hate it when I do that. Alright. Okay. So, tonight I wanted to go ahead and go a little bit darker for the time being. There's been some high weirdness going around of late, and I can't help but think to myself that in keeping with the concept of discussing the hero from the last couple of streams, including of course Julian Groiper's stream where we were talking about Rich Russell and his infamous barrel roll, I think that the idea of the hero is what's needed, seriously. And I think that the hero that we're going to have to embody, we need to think long and hard about what it means to be a hero. And amongst the things that makes a hero is a willingness to move into danger. And that's really the point. That's more or less the theme, I should say, of tonight's set. Because I was thinking, excuse me, I'm sorry, I had some yogurt, like an idiot. Of course, I always have yogurt before I do a stream or something like that. Anyway, oh gosh, I was saying something, I forgot what it was. Oh yeah, that's right. A willingness to move into darkness. That's right. And the theme of the stream is actually in reference to, I kind of missed some of the old 90s music that I grew up with. I've, of course, gotten so into a lot of the synthwave that's been coming out recently and the vaporwave that I just happen to adore. But at the same time, that's not what I grew up with. So I decided that I was going to play a couple of tracks from my childhood, or from my youth, I suppose I should say. And so the set is going to refer to essentially moving into darkness. Again, the hero is... Okay, we're going to go with the Joseph Campbell version, the mythology of the hero, for just a moment. The concept is that the hero recognizes that either he or his group, typically society, is in peril. And in order to deal with whatever it is that is imperiling his group or himself, he has to move toward it. Typically this is personified by a dragon or something like that. It's just a sign or a symbol. And in order to get to the dragon, he has to move into a cave or into the onto the ground, the field, into the area where the dragon resides. So this is more or less the idea that if we're going to do even minorly heroic things, we're going to have to move into dangerous territory. There's simply no way out of that. For example, when I dabbed on those lefties way back some weeks ago, what was I doing on a basic level? Well, I was moving into an area that was certainly not mine. It was populated by people that are antithetical to all of my values and beliefs, and I dabbed on them. And that's more or less what I'm talking about. You're going into an area that you recognize is going to be unsafe. There are situations where it's actually completely unwise to go into the darkness, so to speak, the field of the dragon. For example, all of the Antifa people, it would be foolish of the highest order to move into that kind of an area or a situation and attempt to do something quote-unquote heroic. That would be tantamount to doing some kind of a mission with a bunch of sprinting zombies. You are going to get messed up and it's going to hurt, and you should not do that. So I would say that you need to really pick your battles. You need to be very specific about what kind of darkness you're agreeing to meet. So all of that said, no risk, no reward. Even though you may want to measure your risk, at the same time you must risk. We must risk. I mean, if you think about it from a certain standpoint, what's the whole point of these cute little streams? Now, for myself, of course, this is borderline vlogging, catharsis for myself. Ooh, let's talk about things that are on my mind. Okay, fine, yeah, that's actually kind of true on a certain level. But at the same time, there's the greater goal of, well, actually, I guess there are a series of goals. There are really a series of goals with these streams. But I'm not the only one that does these streams, and all of us, we all have similar larger goals that we're interested in. And of course, everyone in the chat, we're all interested in these larger civilizational patterns. In fact, the matter is, we are more or less charting, we are logging the collapse and decline of our civilization, rather of the civilization that we grew up with. And though this civilization is going to decline, it's going to collapse, a new one will come about. And we have to be willing to move from our collapsing one to the better one. Rather, we are going to have to build the better one. We're going to have to be doing that. And in order to do that, we're going to have to face, firstly, collapse. Secondly, we're going to have to face people that absolutely want us annihilated, basically. Minimized, at the very least. So it's very serious business. The stuff that we talk about. Of course, I like to make jokes, and I try to keep a kind of a lightness of touch. But I mean, this is kind of a serious topic. At the end of the day, that's really what spawned these streams in the first place. So yeah, we just have to be willing to meet the darkness. We're going to have to be strong enough to be able to do that. And so yeah, there we go. With all of that said, I think I'm going to go and move to my first track while I get myself some peanut butter, because freaking peanut butter, I love it. Okay, this first track is... Oh gosh, what is the first track? Okay, now I remember. This first track is in reference to more or less what I view as the dragon. And I mean the dragon. I mean the real deal. This track is entitled Aisha. This is by Death in Vegas, circa 1999. Iggy Pop does the vocals. He really speaks more than he does sing. And I want you to listen, actually listen to what he's saying. I found this track deeply disturbing once I finally decided to actually listen to the lyrics. And while it is a very skillfully produced track, and it is quite catchy, he is describing everything that I am against. And he's doing, Iggy Pop is describing everything that I am against. And the two guys, I think Death in Vegas is two guys, two producers. Oh, wait, no, it's a larger group. I think it's a band. Whatever, anyway. The point is, they are describing something, and this thing that is being described, I want you to pay attention to it, okay? Because this is the darkness. This is the big thing. So here you go. With all of that said, we are going to now play Aisha. Rest in peace, eardrums, in 3, 2, 1.
Aisha, we've only just met, and I think you ought to know I'm a murderer. Babies bleed blood. I have a portrait on my wall. He's a serial killer. I thought he wouldn't escape. Aisha, he got out. Runs with us, making us gods. The rules are all wrong. Every perversion is justified. The art people eat dead bodies. Anything goes around here. gods all suck.
That was Aisha by Death in Vegas. And the thing that strikes me about that track is that he's essentially describing the logical conclusion of a person who is possibly psychotic, possibly low IQ, who is essentially OD'd on nihilism. He is a person who has rejected basically everything. The sentences that stick out in my mind are, the rules are all wrong, followed by everything goes around here. And then he continues later and says, the gods all suck. When you put all of that together, it is essentially complete chaos. He's literally rejecting God. He's rejecting rules. He's rejecting everything. Morality itself. And I honestly, and of course, you know, he says that he's a murderer, so on and so forth. There's the implication that he is speaking to a woman that he has kidnapped, whom he is likely about to murder. This is the implication of the track. It's, well, yes, of course, it's intended to be disturbing. But the reason that I personally found it disturbing is because I realized that even though it's tongue-in-cheek from the standpoint of the musicians, the problem is that there are people who actually do believe this. And some of those people, they're not just some weirdos in basements. These are people who are in halls of power. And I find that horrifying. And I mean that. I find that genuinely horrifying. I don't care for it in the least. So when I talk about being heroic, in any sense really, and going into the darkness, what I mean is we're going to have to face things that are extremely unpleasant and extremely uncomfortable. And for me, one of those things happens to be the lack of rules. I guess you could think of it in some sense as, okay, so the prefrontal cortex is where you do a lot of your editing of your impulses. Impulse control is modulated through the prefrontal cortex, so I understand. So whenever you have any kind of a thought, a desire that crosses your mind, and you say to yourself, wow, I really want to do that, whatever that thing is, and you say that in your head, and it's very easy to act on that impulse. However, with some thought, you might come to realize after maybe a second or two of reflection that this impulse, this desire that you have, may have attached to it a terrible consequence. And this is where impulse control comes into play. And it's my view that impulse control is analogous to walls. It's analogous to boundaries and barriers. You are sectioning off certain types of behavior patterns as being destructive or negative, something to be avoided. This is more or less what I mean by moving into the darkness, moving into things that we don't like. For me, it's nihilism. It's the lack of boundaries and borders. It's the lack of control. It's the inability to say yes or no to things that you either like or dislike. The lack of choice. The opposite is the case. You have no choice. You have no will. Things just happen for no reason. Someone once described it as what infants experience is meaningless pain or meaningless joy, and I don't like that. I really do not like that in the least. So for me, this is what I personally have a difficult time with. Of course, I have to burn this stream immediately after because I'm basically revealing things that I don't like. If anyone's listening to this who doesn't like me, they could probably use that against me. Anyway. Actually, let me go ahead and check let's check to see if we have any dislikes. Okay, we don't. Nice. So our hate watchers aren't present at the moment, so still going to burn it, but at least the cat isn't out of the proverbial bag. Okay, moving on. Oh, cool. Julian Groiper sent me a hangout. Sweet. So, all of that said, I'm going to transition now to the second track. This one is incrementally less psychologically damaging. I do love this track, though. This is by Filter, the lead singer for Filter. He used to be the guitarist for Trent Reznor in the very early days of Nine Inch Nails, and for my understanding, my recollection, and I could be well wrong about this, but I remember hearing about how there was a falling out between this guitarist and Trent Reznor, and this guitarist, he decided to go and found his own project. So it was him, I believe a bassist, and they didn't have a drummer, so the entire album is put together on a drum machine, and it creates a really interesting sound. I think this album was put out in either 94 or 95, I can't recall which, and I like the vibe, I like the feel. It's a little embarrassing to say, but this is 100% paused. The guy, he was 100% on the H. He was absolutely on the H, in exactly the same way that Dave Gahan was, Trent Reznor, Marilyn Manson. They were all on the H. But, man, they made some great albums. So, anyway, this track is Under, off of Filter's first album entitled Short Bus. So here we are. This is Under by Filter. Rest in peace, eardrums, in 3, 2, 1. I got empty point to make. It's about a faith, an empty point of view, sinking through and through. So you think you got some problems? So you think you got it bad?
I get a fresh opinion now. I can't tell you how. I think it's best just to take it and go under. All it takes to swallow you can't miss. Let's you spend some time in bliss. Oh, come on
Oh gosh, the track just ends. I forgot about that. Yeah, alright. That's the ridiculous bullcrap that I used to listen to when I was a kid, but I loved it, so what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Alright. Alright, just getting my tracks in line. And, okay, very good. So, up here, Sin was saying something about how he thought that cold, hard rationality was analogous to evil, and I disagree. I regard rationality and logic as being tools. The question is always the person who is wielding the tool. That, I think, is where evil resides. It's in the user. It's not in the tool itself, it's in the user. Anything can be good, anything can be bad, depending on how it's utilized. Water, for example, we are, on a certain level, we are water bags. We're giant water transport systems. And if you put enough water in us, we actually die. There is a case of a French woman. She was in some kind of a competition to see how much water you could drink, and I don't know how, but she actually drank water until she died, literally. So it's completely possible to use anything as a negative tool. So it's just a matter of how creative you are with it. Yeah, it's my view that the user of the tool is always of primary importance. We can, of course, think of this in the firearms context as well. Give a firearm to a person who has a natural inclination to protect and you get one outcome. Give a firearm to a person who has a natural inclination to harm and you get a very different outcome. And so, with that in mind, this is a question that I had asked myself once or twice, and I came up with different answers at different points in my life. So I'm going to put the question out for the chat and just see what kinds of answers pop up. I'll tell you my answer. I'm not saying that my answer is the correct answer, but I'll tell you why my answer is the answer that I have. And so here's the question. This is the question. What is the opposite of love? That's the question. So here we are. I am going to play the next track. The next track, well, I'll let it be a surprise. I'm going to let the next track be a surprise.
because it's kind of amusing that by an amazing coincidence this just happened to line up. So here we go. Here we go. Rest in peace, eardrums, in 3, 2, 1. the end. It just stops. I love it. All right. Okay. I like that track. It's awesome. That's all. All right. So, the question was, what is the opposite of love? And let's see here. Where are we? Yes, Mark C. and Paul Bunyan both said the same thing, which is my answer as well. Apathy. Lack of caring. And when I was a little kid, of course, when you're very, very young, you think it's hate. And then you grow up a little bit, and then you start to think, well, maybe it's fear. And then after a while, after much thought and contemplation, you realize that the difference between love and hate actually isn't as great as you would think. I mean, there is clearly a difference, but we all know that there have been many instances where things that you hate you come to love, and vice versa. As where apathy, the lack of caring entirely, that is the true polar opposite, in my opinion. So, yeah, apathy, this is where evil lies, in my view. And on a basic level, this is why psychopathy is so very troubling for me, because a psychopath is very capable of killing you without thinking about it at all. The Chinese had a proverb. They called it killing without blinking. And the idea was that they were a true badass, a person who is genuinely bad. They would kill you and they would not flinch. They would not think about it. It would simply be no different than buttering bread. And that's truly terrifying. In my opinion, that is genuine, actual evil. That's where it lies. So this is where my own personal horror show takes me. When I see people who genuinely don't care, for me, there is nothing more horrifying, terrifying. I don't know what the word is, but I mean, these are very, Louis C.K. is kind of a douche. My understanding is he's kind of a sexual deviant, a sex pervert. But he did have a little bit that I think is completely correct. It's completely true, which was that we have a tendency to use top shelf words for rather mundane concepts, and the word horror and the word terror, they mean less these days. But when I think of people who genuinely don't care, no, really, that's actually, if you think about that long enough, it's actually really scary. So anyway, okay, it's now 11:40 my time, so I'm going to go ahead and see what my next track is. Let's see, we played that. I think I've only got one track left. Yeah, it looks like I've only got one track left. Cool, nice. And I've got a little bit of time, so I'm going to go ahead and check the chat, because I have not done that yet. It's nice to see Babs. Hey Babs, what's going down, buddy? It's quite pleasant to see you here and about. I haven't seen you in a little bit. I haven't seen your streams either, so get back to streaming, because those are funny. Then again, who knows, maybe I'm just completely out of it and I'm missing absolutely everything. But let me go ahead and check chat. See where there's a lot of interpersonal conversation going on right now, so almost none of it refers to me, so it's difficult for me to comment. Jakey says that image is the most nihilistic low-T thing I've ever seen, and it's making my eyes bleed. It's actually part of a meme, and it's really funny to me. It's really funny. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull up the meme again, and I'm gonna show the meme. So here, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. 1 second. We have to do that. No, get out. Remove. Go. Yes. Gone. Outstanding. Okay. How do I go to? No. Edit? Oh my god. I have to actually... Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and expand the meme just a touch so that you can see the the text, which I think is pretty funny. Okay, here we are. This is the actual meme. Jakey. I just wanted to have the three. Oh God, we are the Spanish Inquisition, the Inquisitors. I just wanted to have the Inquisitors visible. So here we are. This is the meme. And the joke, of course, is that it's awesome. Alright, that's all. There you go. It's stupid, but I think it's funny. Okay, I'm going to continue down now. Alright, where are we? Yeah, lots of interpersonal conversation that has nothing to do with me at all. So I can't really interject in any way. Okay, here we are. Paul Bunyan says, it's like the worst fate of man. The worst fate of a man is not to die, but to be forgotten. Well, but everyone is forgotten sooner or later. Once humanity goes extinct, which, I mean, I just imagine that it's going to happen at some point for one reason or another. You know, solar flare, you know, giant arm of hot gases come licking across the planet and kill us all, or maybe what is it, those plasma rays, the gamma rays, I think they're called, the gamma burst. Yeah, one of those could get directed at us that would completely knock us out, or maybe an asteroid impact or some weird bullcrap like that, who knows. And then once that happens, once humans have gone extinct, well, then Shakespeare basically goes away. There is no more Taylor Swift, there is no more anything. The fact of the matter is, the vast majority of human beings you've never even heard of. Think about the billions of people that have ever existed on this planet. You know, we've got what, the largest number ever, which is 6 billion or 7 billion now. I forget the number. Like, unimaginably huge number of people. And we're going to top 9 probably by the end of this century. So just a seething mass of human beings. And think about how you will never ever know any of the local celebrities in any given township. So I think being remembered is not really of any interest. I think that leading a good life is much more impactful, and that good life, you are going to impact the people locally around you. And I think it's completely worth it to genuinely put your effort and your all into being the best person that you can possibly be. Not to be remembered, but simply so that you can impact the other people in your life in a positive way, so that at least, you know, it sounds kind of Jordan B. Peterson-esque, so please excuse me, but there is a lot to be said for simply making someone's day better. There's a musician that I used to know a long, long time ago, and she said something that really stuck with me. And the thing that she said was, when I write songs and I play them, one of the things that I think about is, if I can, through one of my songs, make it so that someone has a nice time for just 3.5 minutes, I feel like I've done something good. I completely get that. I totally get that. I completely understand that. And I think that's more or less where I'm coming from when I think about these kinds of things. So for me, being remembered is not, I mean, it's nice, I guess, you know, it's kind of cool, clearly. But the thing that makes me much happier is when someone around me is having a good time, or they're enjoying themselves, and in some way I can somehow be a part of it, or participate in it, or something like that. Or if they're having a bad time, maybe I can find a way to ameliorate it. Obviously, you know, you have to be careful with that, because there are some instances when that's completely inappropriate. Clearly, you have to read the situation, but the point still stands. These are the things that I think we should be thinking about. Personal opinion, obviously, I don't want to impose my my views or my will on anyone. I'm just saying that these are the things that I tend to think about. Okay, Paul Bunyan goes on to say, and moreover, the worst fate of a folk is to be erased from recorded history. I don't really mind being erased from recorded history. Consider this. The black Africans, they have absolutely no indigenous written language, so they have no history to be recorded or to be erased from, and yet they still exist. So it's my view that recordings in and of themselves are more or less irrelevant. within that context. I think that it's a much bigger travesty if the people are actually themselves erased. Take, for example, the Assyrians, not the Syrians, but the Assyrians. They are down to a township, and they could well, I'm fearful that they will go extinct within my lifetime. So the people that basically built up the Middle East that we all know and love, those people are on the brink of extinction right now. And their kind will be in recorded history forever. But I don't think that's of any import. I think it's much more important that they continue to be alive. I would much prefer that the Assyrians continue to live. That's my honest view. I mean, I feel like I'm saying that in very harsh terms or something, but that's not what I'm. Anyway, I think you know what I mean. I think you know what I mean. Okay, I'm gonna continue down. Where are we? Oh wow, a bunch of ats popped up out of nowhere. Wow. Let's see here. Oh, there's some Sky King. Oh yeah. The Sky King stream was last night. Yeah, that was a great one. I really enjoyed that one. That was a great stream. And I actually did listen to most of it this morning. So yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty fun. Okay, Sin says, Warp Drives, Eke, you're not thinking Faustian enough. Oh, okay, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what you're thinking about. Okay, let's see here. Paul Bunyan is interpreting what I am saying purely materially. Okay, that may be the case. Spiritual oblivion is what I fear. Oh, I see. Okay, fair enough. Then there may be a different take. I suppose I would have to speak with you directly in order to understand precisely what you mean. I think that perhaps I'm speaking past you and vice versa, as though we have two different value sets that are somehow not meeting somehow. Okay, you interpreted what I said purely material. Yeah, yes. Okay, I was reading the same comment twice. King Kush says, Haley's comet, then boom, supernova, you won't feel nothing. Oh my god, yeah. You won't feel nothing. Yeah, it's terrifying. I don't like that. Okay, Elaine says that her phone is messed up and she keeps losing. Oh no, that's terrible. Oh no. Well, I'm glad that you're here, but it sucks that your phone is on the fritz. That's terrible. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, I wish that I had all the money in the world so I could just go ahead and give people phones. That'd be freaking cool. That's why I'd always be poor. I would just give all my money away. That's awful. Okay, I'm gonna continue down. And I think that's it for the ads. Okay, cool. So here's the very last track. Now that I've basically spent all of that time, here we are. This is the last track that I'm going to play. And this one, oh, okay, here we are. Paul Bunyan says, these streams have me running on sub 5 hours of sleep, so my coherence is yeah, mine too. It's actually really bad. It's so bad. It's not cool. Okay, here we are. This is the very last track, and I happen to I like this track. This is a neat track, and in keeping with the spirit of dark 90s, I think it pretty much sums up my general thought pattern. I would encourage anyone who hasn't heard this song to really pay attention to the lyrics or look them up so that you can actually read them while the song is playing. The name of this track is 46 and 2. This is by Tool off of their second big album entitled Enema. A great album. This is actually a freaking outstanding album. Of all of their works, this is my general favorite. Of course, I happen to like 10,000 Days as well, but I really like this one. Anyway, so here we are. This is 46 and 2 by Tool. Rest in peace, eardrums, in 3, 2, 1. freaking love that track, man. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the outro track, and here we go. This is the end of the show, guys. Got to cut it short for the sake of Julian Guiper's track. Here we go.